Good to be home. Good to be home.
And we are delighted that Swagoo has sort of pried himself away from Fortnite.
I'm just glad y'all sitting me by the money.
You know, get the bag. Get the bag.
Rub it off on
I'm glad we're in a good mood, because that's only going to last about a minute and a half here. Let's get right to it. Here's what happened last night at Lambeau Field. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers ready to go in a very important divisional showdown against Matthew Stafford and the Lions. Very first play from scrimmage. Tricky Lions, Dan.
Yeah, they come out aggressive. A beautiful flea flicker. Get Galladay down from the left side of the field to the right. Outstanding throw by Matthew Stafford. Lions start fast.
Yeah, and that is now Stafford has more passing yardage against the Packers than any player in history passing Frank Tarkenton. But one of the themes of the night, they would wind up settling for a field goal, so it's 3-0. Let's go all the way to the fourth quarter. The Packers are down 9. It's a 2-score game in the fourth quarter. 3rd and 10 is the down and distance. Rodgers is sacked, but the flag comes out. Illegal hands to the face on Trey Flowers. Take another look.
I can't believe that they made this call. Hands right on the shoulder pads. Flowers obviously just driving forward. He does it all the time.
He had never been called for that penalty in his career. Meanwhile, that sets up this. Rodgers for Allen Lazard. Hauls it in from the touchdown. You see the nice view from pylon cam, so now it's a 2-point game as a direct result of that call. Ensuing Lions drive. Stafford going to be looking for Marvin Jones Jr. Swagoo, let's look at this closely. Should this be pass interference?
Absolutely not in real time. Like, I know everybody gets enamored with, oh, this is a challengeable play, but when you're going 100 miles an hour, no, that's not enough contact.
Oh, I can tell from Dan's face he disagrees. We're going to argue about that in a moment, but then let's get to this. Ensuing Packer drive. Again, they're down 2 points, 5 minutes to play. Aaron Rodgers, oh, he can still do that. Takes off and runs 12 yards to the 49, so the Packer drive is alive. 1:45 to go. Again, it's a 3rd down play. Rodgers back to throw, and as he buys time, you will see the flag come out, and it's the same call on the same player.
This is another example of a player doing something that he does all the time that is not a flag, yet the official seeing it incorrectly and throwing a terrible flag in a crucial moment.
And there's just no other way to describe it except it decides the game, because it leads to this. All the Packers have to do is run the clock down to 2 seconds and let Mason Crosby kick the game-winning field goal. Let's talk.
They saw something different than what actually happened. Nah, I didn't think hands to the chest was a penalty. I thought hands to the face, but I had him right here in the chest. Second time I changed it to right here. I don't think that was a penalty, but they did, so.
All right, so the Clete Blakeman, who you saw there making the announcements of the officials, he was the head official last night, and here's what he said. He said the umpire threw both of them. The last one was really the one I've discussed with him. Basically, it's for illegal use of the hands to the face foul. To be a foul, we basically need some forceful contact that's prolonged to the head and neck area of the defender. So in his mind, he had him pinned back, it was prolonged, and that's what created the foul. Look, I've been doing this job almost 30 years. I hate these shows. I hate the shows where we're going to sit and talk about the officiating, but there is no choice because this was a critical game. The entire country watched it. It stood alone, and these calls go a long way towards deciding the outcome. Swagoo, the floor is yours.
First of all, as a defensive lineman, it's disheartening to see that, right? Because a part of it is referees being on edge about illegal plays when it comes to the line of scrimmage. But also, Greeny, I have to put this in a little bit of perspective for people. And I know we look at Trey Flowers, we look at pass interference, we think about the Saints call. This has been happening in the NFL. And now the whole response to it is because replay was implemented, so everybody expects every single call to be right. Are there remedies? Absolutely. But when I was playing in the league, they missed calls like this all the time, and nobody was outraged about it. The league, the referees put themselves in this position to be highly scrutinized because they decided to review and replay certain plays. And when you get them wrong and everybody's going to count it to losing the game, right? And now you have the situation with the Detroit Lions where it's 2 times now that people are pointing to calls that specifically decided the outcome. That's the issue that lies in here. But I'm from the old school NFL where they tell you, hey, man, you got to play through that. You got to win the game.
What do you think? I don't see it that way. Give me a camera. All right, listen. Owners, I'm talking to you. You don't have a problem. You have an epidemic. Your product is slowly being ruined by a third party that has no consequence to their actions. And you may not pay a lot of attention to social media, but you should, because not thousands of people, not tens of thousands of people, but millions of people are unhappy right now. And unhappy people don't spend money. America's favorite sport at times is becoming unwatchable because of bad officiating. And I can't fix it, and Greeny can't fix it, but you can. Shad Khan, you can. Jerry Jones, you can. Mr. Kraft, you can fix it. And it's not an October 2020 fix. It's not a 2020 fix. It's an October 15th, 2019 morning fix. Your product is being ruined. You need to fix this now. That's the reality of this situation. We can no longer come on shows after a really good football game and have to talk about the bad officiating. The Detroit Lions fans and team should not have to go, oh, we should have played better. When we grew up, it wasn't about, we used to always have coaches tell us, don't let the officials, they don't impact the football game. They're impacting too many football games. And I'm telling you, fans are sick of it.
I so appreciate, your passion and your emotion here. What is the answer is the question. People will hear you say the owners need to do something. Do you have something in mind? What could they do to address this that quickly?
Listen, today you can implement every time a flag is thrown, there's somebody up in a booth. It's almost like college football. You either confirm or overturn that flag. That's how college football handles targeting. If they throw that flag for Trey Flowers last night, hands to the face, someone in the booth immediately can go, I can confirm that or overturn that right now. It's timeless. You don't have to waste time on it. But we can't consistently go, hey guys, we're sorry, we were wrong.
Final thought.
You lose something with that, though. And we're in that landscape now where you lose the expectation for everything to be right. And that's been the biggest argument. I'm with you, Dan, as a football player. It's costing games. We thought about the Saints and the Rams last year and how that derived everything. But at the same time, the thing that made this game so great was the fact that you did have flubs and mess-ups and things weren't perfect. So it's a fine line between that.
Look, we will spend a lot more time on this today. I want to get onto some other things, but it should be pointed out that when someone like Dan, who loves this game as much as anyone I've ever met in my entire life, is this upset, when someone like Jim Nantz, who is as respected a voice as there is in any sport, in all of sports, is basically pleading on the air during a game for one play that doesn't have a flag thrown, I think we have reached the level where we have a really serious problem. We'll have more on it as we go. Meanwhile, good baseball game last night. Al, let's go for there.
Yeah, Greeny, the Cardinals have really reached a serious...
To football here because we have a huge NFC East showdown this Sunday between two teams that didn't expect to both be 3-3, Eagles and Cowboys. And as you may have heard, and if you haven't, here it comes. Eagles head coach Doug Peterson with fascinating comments on the radio yesterday, sure to catch some ears in the Cowboys locker room.
I know the sky's falling outside.
Yes.
It's falling, and I get that, and the fans are reeling just a little bit. But we're going down to Dallas, and our guys are going to be ready to play, and we're going to win that football game. And when we do, we're in first place in the NFC East. We control our own destiny. We're right where we need to be.
We're going to win that football game. That sounds a little bit like a head coach guaranteeing a win during the season. Marcus, you live in Dallas. You played for the Cowboys. Did you take that one to heart?
Well, I didn't particularly take it to heart, but I said the Dallas Cowboys should take it to heart, especially with Doug Peterson coming out and saying that, and they have the identical record.
Yep.
Right? Now, G.
Yeah.
You know me. I love drama.
Yes.
Calm down. Doug Peterson was saying what he was supposed to say about his football team. But if the Cowboys don't use this, right, there's this narrative right now going around Dallas that this team is not responding to a lot of things that the head coach is saying. The energy is not there. We running displays of the players walking off the field, not shaking his hand. There are a lot of issues. Do you rally around what Doug Peterson said? That's a question for the Dallas Cowboys to answer. I know what you would like to do, not be 3-3 right now.
Here's what I'd like to ask you, because you know the situation so well. Again, for those who don't realize, you played for this team. You played for Jerry Jones. You played when Jason Garrett was there. Is there any circumstance that you can foresee where he could get fired during the season?
Absolutely. Look, the number one indictment on a head coach is winning and losing, obviously, is the elephant, right? We all talk about that, the record, what success are you having? When them damn players stop responding to you, though, that's the writing on the wall.
As you watch, Dan, the Cowboys, to this point, just not being as good as we thought they should be, how much of it is attributable to the head coach?
Well, the great majority of it, right? He's the leader of it. And I think the reality for Jerry Jones is never let your loyalty make you a fool, right? This is a Super Bowl contending roster in every aspect. They're sitting 3-3, which is unacceptable. And Jerry Jones can sit there and go, I love Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett's been a part of our organization for 20 years now, right? And let that make a fool of you as an owner and general manager with a team that is capable in many ways. The biggest thing with Dallas to me when it talks directly to Jason Garrett is this. The first 3 weeks of the season, their offense looked like a 2019 offense. And all of a sudden, it doesn't. There's no RPOs anymore. There's no cool motion anymore. There's no creativity anymore. And to me, that looks like a head coach that potentially has gone to a play caller and said, I'm not liking what we're doing. Stop doing that. I don't know if he's taken over the play calling or hindered some of it. It's a completely different looking offense. This video right there, we talked about it. If you're running off the field and your head coach is there and you don't give him a high five, your actions speak louder than your words.
There's no coming back from that.
Yeah.
Right? Like this is not us being on a show trying to give a hot take. I've been in locker rooms where the coach's words falls on deaf ears because we feel like we're sitting in the same exact spot that we've grown accustomed to all the time. Mediocrity has been synonymous with the Cowboys. Now the players are starting to show and vent their frustration, compounded with losing to an 0-4 team with a quarterback that just returned to the field.
It's a lot of trouble. And there's two things that are worthy of reminder here. And I'll give credit to our mutual friend, Will Kane, who said it. The owner, Jerry Jones, is a guy who fired Tom Landry basically the day he got there, couldn't get rid of Jimmy Johnson fast enough, but hangs on to Jason Garrett for dear life for reasons a lot of people find curious. And I will say this, too. Jerry Jones decided to pay Zeke Elliott this year when he didn't have to because there was one thing he believed. This was a Super Bowl or bust season. We will do more of this as we go, but we have to get to what is in the big picture, Elle, really the most important story of the morning.
That's right. In the NBA, LeBron James says Daryl Morey was, quote, misinformed and not educated on the situation when he tweeted in support of anti-government protesters in Hong Kong. Morey's tweet ignited a firestorm of controversy that nearly led to the cancellations of the Lakers and Nets preseason games in China. The games were played, but none of the players spoke publicly about the controversy while in China. Last night, before the Lakers' preseason game with the Warriors, LeBron was asked specifically about how the NBA handled the situation.
I'm not here to judge how the league handled the situation. I just think that, when you're misinformed or you're not educated about something, and I'm just talking about, the tweet itself, you never know the ramifications that can happen. We all seen what that did. Not only did for our league, but for all of us in America, for people in China as well. And sometimes you have to think through things that you say that may cause harm not only for yourself but for the majority of people. And I think that's just a prime example of that. We all talk about this freedom of speech. Yes, we all do have freedom of speech, but at times there are ramifications for the negative that can happen when you're not thinking about others and you're only thinking about yourself. So I don't believe, I don't want to get into a word or sentence feud with Daryl. Morey, but I believe he wasn't educated on the situation at hand, and he spoke, and so many people could have been harmed, not only financially but physically, emotionally, spiritually. So just be careful what we tweet and we say and what we do. Even though yes, we do have freedom of speech, but there can be a lot of negative that comes with that too.
Apparently reading the room a little bit, LeBron then went on to clarify his comments on Twitter, saying, let me clear up the confusion. I do not believe there was any consideration for the consequences and ramifications of the tweet. I'm not discussing the substance. Others can talk about that. He continued, my team and this league just went through a difficult week. I think people need to understand what a tweet or statement can do to others, and I believe nobody stopped and considered what would happen. Could have waited a week to send it. We're joined now by NBA Countdown's
PR nightmare.
Right? I mean,
PR nightmare.
So what do you find the most problematic about what LeBron said?
There's a lot of things here, Elle. Number one, I've always known Daryl Morey to be very informed when he speaks. Now, he may not have done all of his due diligence on thinking what the repercussions of the comment was, but when LeBron said it's not helping others, Daryl Morey was sending out that tweet to help others. We went on NBA Countdown. We discussed this thoroughly because my point was, at that time, I advised the players not to say anything. There's nothing that LeBron James can say that will fundamentally change what a communism country is talking about, or what they're doing right now. He's not going to change lives. I understand that he is the social conscious of the NBA here as it relates to the United States. You can speak out on things like systematic oppression, use analogies like this. But you have to be so strategic and so tactical when you speak about this issue as it revolves around international politics. That's what you're dealing with, not just politics between the NBA and China, but a trade war that's happening between our country and their country right now. So you have to be tactical, you have to think through, and this doesn't help any situation at all. He didn't say anything by saying these comments, and he only inflamed the whole situation.
So essentially you feel like he had a word salad and he would have done better, because it feels a little bit like he was pressured into, there's been a lot of calls for someone to speak out. He was the first person that chose to do it.
There's that old saying, less is more. Now, if you want to have a prepared statement where you can thoroughly think through this with your legal team and with your advisors to then maybe write an op-ed article, I understand that. But speaking freely in front of the public, that's not going to do justice.
Well, we are certainly going to do the NBA a little bit justice. We're going to talk actual basketball coming up with Jay Will as well. Still ahead here on Get Up, the Packers beat the Lions last night, but the NFL may end up the biggest losers. Why officiating feels like a problem that the league needs to address immediately. And Baker Mayfield is angry. What the Browns quarterback is heated about and whether Marcus Spears cares.